Alright guys, back again with another video. So I'm going to show you how to use, we're going to be working on some more BlocklikeJS, the JavaScript framework or library, whatever, that we can make Scratch-like games. And by Scratch-like, again, I mean go to Scratch here, and we could see like all these cool little games. And you can make them. I suggest you go try it out. And it's free and everything, so some stupid crap like this. Anyway, so we can make anything we want. So in every project that you make with this, you're going to be needing a stage. That's like the base layer of the game itself. It's like the background almost, except on top of the stage you can have backdrops, which are added onto the stage itself. Those are the backgrounds basically, which we'll learn about in a later episode, maybe the next one. Anyway, so to make a stage, we need to do some things. So, well, first we're gonna make a basic stage. Stage equals new block-like, and this can be const too because stage, it's not ever changing. So if you want to do that, go ahead. Oops. Stage has to be capitalized. So whenever you're making a new object or class, I don't know much about objects and classes yet, but I think this is an object. So whenever you're making a new one, make sure it's capitalized with block-like. So yes, this will make our stage, and if we reload, it should be here. Let's test it out. So we're going to test it by, because it's going to be blank at first, so we're going to test it by making a new sprite. So let sprite equals new, and we'll talk about sprites later on in a separate episode. So blocklike.sprite, like I said, it's capitalized, so yep. And then we could say stage.add sprite, and we can say sprite. So that's how you add sprites to the page, of course, and it's auto reloading because it's a live server extension I have with Visual Studio Code. So now we have our sprite, which is default a sheep. So, yep. So that's how we add that. And so the default stage is just going to be a blank background, but if we want to style it, we can do this. Well, we'll comment this out so you can remember this if you need to. So do that yourselves by doing Control/. And so we'll make a new one. Let stage equals new. Oh no, we'll name it stage 2 equal new blocklike.stage. So now the first thing we want to do to make it styled and maybe colored, we have to use something called a backdrop, and backdrops are basically like a stage but a background. It's as simple as that. And you can use these to have backgrounds or have objects on your page, but usually objects will be used with a sprite. They're all kind of similar, but sprites have more function, and you'll just get used to it later on. But anyway, so to make a backdrop inside of the stage, we can do, let's see here, open this up, and then do backdrop, and then instead of doing it separately, we could say backdrop equals new blocklike.backdrop. Oops, have it capitalized, of course, backdrop. And then backdrop will have its own properties here. And we could say color pink. And this should be in quotes here, I believe. So yeah, we have a pink background now, which is pretty awesome, if I do say so myself. And yeah, so that's how we use a backdrop. And backdrop can take two parameters. It can either say color or image. So if you want to have a image background, we could just change this from color to image by doing image and then colon and then have our image. I already have an image into the file, so we simply have quotes here, wood.jpg or JPEG, whatever, and here's our wood image. So if we make this bigger, it's going to be full screen. I don't know why. It's not responsive, so it's not automatically just going to change its size like that. So anyway, that's how you add a image background. But if you want to just use our URL, we could do that. And we'll find any image here on the web. So let's say we get an image from Google. We can just right-click it and then copy the image address, and then copy. Ooh, that's huge. So paste it in there, And there you go. There it is. Oh my, that's a lot. That is a lot of code. I mean, yeah, that's a huge URL. That's what she said. What? Anyway, so remember you could also have color, so color like red or something like that. But if you have another one, well, you can't have multiple, I don't think. Well, let's test that right now. Yeah, so that's not really gonna work. They're gonna overlay each other, so one at a time, either color or image. So just so you have a note here for yourself, color red. So anyway, so that's how you do backdrop. And there's one more way you can do a backdrop, of course, just by simply making it manually. So we'll put it up here. I'm gonna say const, or I'm gonna just stay with lit because everything else is lit. So backdrop new equals new. And the name of these don't matter right here. So blocklike.backdrop, and we'll have a color of green. Oops, quote green. So instead of having this here, we'll just pass in the name of backdrop new, and then we can use the green. So yeah, I prefer using it outside of it, so it's more like structured. My brain works better that way, so I don't get all confused and hurt myself with knowledge, you know. And so yeah, so that's how you can style your backgrounds, your stages and everything with a backdrop. But we can also do more things by styling. So we'll open this up a little bit more here. Reload. And then so we can size it. So width, and we can say 500 by a height of 400. And make sure you have a comma after if you have multiple. But the last one doesn't have to have a comma, of course. So anyway, excuse me, and reload here, and then now your background is 500 by 400. So that's very useful. And don't forget that this can be in any order since it's a object or whatever. So it really doesn't matter if you have this like up here. So let's test that theory out here. Change this here. Yeah, so it works the same way, of course. So the next thing we can learn is something called pace, which is another little property on here that we could add. So pace is like the number of milliseconds between each paste method or function. I'm not sure exactly what it does. Oh, not sure. Yeah, set it to a number. That's what you do. And yeah, it's like the number of milliseconds between each method or something like that. I don't really know what it means, but yeah, it's something. But if you want to learn more, just go to the documentation for this BlockLike, and I'll put that in the description if you want to check it out. So another one that I don't really know about is called sensing. Apparently this lets it know, like it'll track every like thing on here, like the mouse, the sprite, just everything. I'm not sure why or what that's for yet, but yeah. And so the last thing is the parent option here. So if we go into our index.html, as the default, it's going to be set to the body, which is where this is going to be displayed. So if we say h1, I'm happy, and we let that save, and this reloads, it'll just be here. But if we add a div here and give it a ID of game, oh my, and go back in here, we set the parent. We could say we'll use the DOM. We have to use the DOM. I don't know much about the DOM, but yeah, get element by ID, and then we just set the ID, which was game. So now the game will be displayed inside the game div that we just set here. Oh, we don't need that. That's why. So yeah, so it's now centered up here instead of down here because the div that we set it to is right under happy. So if we have some more divs, and we'll change these to have no ID here. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see. So if we reload, yeah, it's not going to do anything because there's nothing inside these divs. So okay, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but anyway, you get the point. If we make a certain element, maybe even a link, and set the ID to a certain thingy, and then set the DOM here to get element ID, and then set the ID to whatever you just set, it'll identify it, and then that's where the game will be. So I hope that made sense. Kind of confusing to me too, and I don't know what these two are exactly. So anyway, the most important things anyway are going to be the width and height. So yeah. So if we reload here, we don't have anything anymore for some reason. Oh yeah, because we got to get rid of this here. I'm probably never going to really use that much anyway. So yep. Anyway, so don't forget you can set a backdrop here and do a new one, or you can just use the one that we made up here. Drop like backdrop new, or we can make our own, which is new block like dot backdrop color pink. And there we go. There's our pink background. And okay, guys. So another thing we could do here is delete a stage. So to delete a stage, we can simply just do stage.delete anywhere, and it'll be gone. Not sure what that did. Oh, there it is. I was wondering why it didn't delete. And yeah, so give it the stage name, which is up here, and delete it, and everything's gonna be gone because everything in your game depends on the stage itself. So this could be useful for if you want to have multiple stages. So delete this stage and then set a new one if you're going to make multiple. And then yeah, so that's how you do that. And yeah, so there's another function you can use with the stage. So if we want it to come back, so stage, we can say when loaded. So as soon as the stage loads, we can do something like, well, first we're going to need a function inside of here. So we'll make an arrow function here. We could say a sprite dot move. We can say 5 pixels. And reload. Okay, that didn't quite work. I'll do say then. Say, hey. So now it says hey whenever as soon as this loads. So that's simple enough. And it can be useful for just doing stuff as soon as the game starts without having to press the flag. Of course, if you want to use a flag, we just change this to when flag. So now a flag will spawn and then we click it and then it'll say hey whenever we press it. So it's a listener, so it's listening for you to do something and then it'll do its intended thing that you set in here, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's how you do that. So there's some more stuff we can do with the backdrop. So if we delete this here, we won't have a backdrop, so it'll just be the default color that we set up here. Oh, so we had multiple backdrops. I didn't even notice that. So it's just going to override it if you have two, I guess. So anyway, we'll delete that. So it'll be white now. So we don't have a backdrop. So if we want to just like in our game, if you want to have multiple backgrounds at certain periods in our game, like if you die, maybe it'll change the background. We can do backdrop dot add to, and then we pass in the stage name. So stage 2. I'm not sure if you need to put it in quotes or not. Let's try that. Back to stage. Oh, that's right, because we don't have anything called backdrop. So, of course, we don't need this. And it's called backdrop new. So I was right the whole time, I just didn't set the right name. So backdrop new, add to stage 2. Which is, stage 2 is referring to this up here that we have. So with this, you aren't setting it up here, like you aren't making it as you go along. So if you already have one made up here by default, you can just use it whenever you want to. So yeah, so let's test that out. We can say like let death backdrop equals new blocklike dot backdrop. And so we'll make a new one here. Oh, I don't know why it looks like that. It's weird. What the fuck? It's just the wrapping. I don't know why, but yeah. So if we expand it, it won't be like that. But anyway, so we'll set the color to red because red has to do with death usually. So we could say like backdrop new dot add to stage. Oops. And so it'll load the default one, and then say we'll just right after that we'll do new. Oh no, backdrop. Oh, death backdrop. dot add to stage 2. And of course, actually this won't work because we haven't removed the default one. So it overrides in a weird way. So we got to remove the default one. So backdrop new dot remove from stage 2. So it'll add that one, remove it, and then add the new one. So whenever you add a new stage, make sure to delete the old one by using dot remove from. So it's fairly simple. So yeah, that's how you do everything with stages and backdrops. I hope it wasn't too hard. Just here's a little tip. If the more you do it, the more you'll learn how to remember these things. I know it seems kind of daunting maybe at first, but the more you do it, like I said, you'll just do it from your head, like I'm doing now. So anyway, just play around with the games, make your own games, just see what you can create. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a comment if you need help. I'll be willing to help you. And peace.